Ouch. Wow. Good morning. Happy Thursday. If you're in the United States, hope you had a fantastic 4th of July holiday yesterday. If you're elsewhere, hope you had a happy Wednesday. The first move of two moves for us happens in the next few days. So the basement is very much packed up, and starting late next week, it'll be live from a 3-room apartment above a garage, which we can talk about more later. Daryl, you're day drinking? I'm day drinking. There we go. Out of my dad mug. But that was my point, not about the fact that we're moving, but about the fact that my mugs are packed away and I'm using some that were like way in the back. So you're going to see some exciting mugs. The bad news is the next 6 months, you're going to see like the same 4 mugs over and over. All right. Very exciting TV. Let's get this show ready to go. I've got to do a quick sound check. All right. 2 good headlines today. And I seriously do say that every time. All right. 2 headlines today. We're talking golf, and we are talking about a 401k 401k study that just came out. And these will be for tomorrow. And as always, if you have thoughts, leave those in the comments. Say hi in the comments, and you'll be part of the show. Part of our live studio part of our live Facebook studio audience. Okay. One more sip of the coffee, and then we'll go. Here we go. I went on this Adventures by Disney trip a few years ago to Italy. And by the way, if you're thinking about doing that, bring about 6 completely overstuffed bags of money, but I still highly recommend it. Think about a trip that has all the good stuff. All the bad stuff's been removed. That's what you're paying for when you take an Adventures by Disney trip. But anyway, this isn't an Adventures by Disney ad. But Disney, if you want to sponsor the show, joe@stackybenjamins.com. But on this trip, the reason I bring it up is there was another family, and they'd lost their luggage. They spent the first 3 days of the trip scrambling on the phone and trying to figure out how to get the luggage to the city we were going to be in the future, because we were moving from Rome to Florence to Venice and getting all of that set up so that they got their luggage back. And they finally got it back, but the trip was almost over. They actually ended up buying clothing. And I remember feeling absolutely horrible, just horrible for them. But the woman kept saying, we spent so much money for this vacation. I can't believe we didn't plan for what happens if something this easy to mess up doesn't go exactly as planned. And I think she may be right. Live in front of a Facebook studio audience. Welcome to another episode of Money in the Morning. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe Money on Twitter. And on today's podcast, two more headlines ripped from recent press. The first one, a golf headline. I think we did a golf headline a couple weeks ago, didn't we? Phil Mickelson kicking his ball around. And then second headline comes to us from the National Association of Plan Advisors. Brand new 401k study out says that people are clueless about one part of their retirement plan. Money in the Morning is brought to you by M1 Finance. It's M, the number one finance. If you're not familiar with them, check them out using our link, stackingbenjamins.com/M1 Finance, because number one, the platform's absolutely free. Number two, it's probably the best way available to build a comprehensive portfolio. You get all kinds of options, from very, very easy and predefined to make up your own. Exchange traded funds, stocks, different types of investments. stackingbenjamins.com, M, the number one, finance. All right, let's get this party started, shall we?
Just when you thought the show couldn't possibly get better, it's time for your headlines.
It can't get better than the open. It can't get better. Actually, it can't get better than that open. It's always fun doing these live, especially when I trip over my words. The first headline comes to us from Yahoo Sports. This is written by Ryan Young from Devil Ball Golf. Graeme McDowell withdraws from the British Open qualifier. Well, let's find out how and why. Former U.S. Open champ Graeme McDowell may miss out on the British Open later this month, though not due to a fault of his own. McDowell flew from Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport to Manchester on Sunday night ahead of Tuesday's qualifier for the Open at St. Anne's, something he needed to do well in to secure his place in the tournament. However, there was just one problem. His clubs didn't show up. There's a tweet from Graeme McDowell. Need assistance from Air France. Flew into Manchester from CDG, and my golf clubs are untraceable. I have a 36 qualifier tomorrow for the Open, and I really need my bag. His call for help, though, seemingly went unanswered. He tweeted again later. Clubs still not on the way from Paris. Established they're in the black hole known as CDG. Air France and Air France UK have been very quiet on Twitter lately, so no communication. Looking doubtful. I will participate tomorrow. One user asked McDowell why he simply didn't rent clubs ahead of Tuesday's qualifier, which is a totally fair question. However, as McDowell quickly explained, only 3 spots are up for grabs out of the 72-man field, which would make playing well enough to qualify for the Open with totally new equipment extremely difficult. McDowell tweets, I hear you, man. Only 3 spots from 72 decent players, and I have another event to get ready for this week, so I have to cut my losses and start preparing. So after a day of frustration, McDowell cut his losses and withdrew from the qualifier. So sad to see somebody whose livelihood depends on his golf clubs not have his golf clubs in the place where he needed them, when he needed them. And I think that there is, and while obviously it's easy for me to sit here and cast stones and go, well, why the hell didn't he think about that ahead of time? Right? Like the woman I mentioned earlier with her, with her clothing from her bags on a vacation that she paid a lot of money for. Contingency planning definitely is the takeaway here. But man, do I feel bad. I mean, there's got to be a what if. And I wonder, when you're going that fast, right? You're going from place to place as a professional golfer, how difficult it would be to have contingency plans, like to have a different set of clubs that resemble yours. I don't know what he could have done differently. Sent the clubs ahead of time. I don't know, but he probably knows. When you're a pro at something, and each of us is a pro when it comes to our own life, we have things that we could, and at least put something in place. And I think to myself, how many people haven't done that? Now, obviously, this is professional golf, and he's going 500 miles an hour from place 1 to place 2 to place 3. For you and I, what's our plan if we get hit by a car? What's our plan if we have a disability? What's our plan if our house burns down? What's our plan? Contingency planning is a huge part of winning, because the only thing we know is that something is going to go wrong, right? We can either stop things from ever going wrong again, or we can contingency plan, or we can complain when things don't go the way that we want them to go. At the bottom of the piece, it says, getting back to this piece, while McDowell missed this opportunity to qualify, he's not totally out of time to qualify for the British Open. He's set to compete in the Irish Open later this week and the Scottish Open next week, both of which offer qualification spots for the leading non-exempt players who finish in the top 10. So he still might make it. And maybe that's why he's cutting his losses on this one. Going to say hi to our friends hanging out with us on Facebook, our live Facebook audience. Daryl says different clubs don't affect my game. Yeah, different clubs definitely don't affect mine either. I love this story from my friend Mike. He was golfing and practicing. And one day he's on like the 12th hole and he realizes he's not having any fun at all. And he takes his cart, takes his clubs, goes up to the clubhouse, takes his clubs in and says, "Hey, do you have a junior program?" Guy says, "Excuse me?" He said, "Do you have a junior program?" "Yes, we do." Hands his clubs to the guy and goes, "Give these to somebody. I want to donate these to your junior program." He hasn't played golf since. That was, I think, over 10 years ago. Paul is here and says clubs are probably on eBay now. Right. Lori, not good PR for the airline. No, not at all. And the amount of times that I've complained about, now, obviously me complaining about it and professional golfer complaining about it are two different things. But, and by the way, some of these things, it's so easy for airlines. Well, you know, I'm not going to start on airlines today because this could become a whole 20-minute podcast just about my frustration with some of the things that airlines could easily get right that they don't. Karen's here. Karen says, sitting by the pool again, but no day drinking for me. Yep. I am day drinking coffee this morning. Luis is here. Hey, Luis. And good stuff. Let's move on to our second headline, Stackers. And this one comes to us from NAPA-Net, the National Association of Plan Advisors. We get a lot of headlines from these guys because I really like the fact that they look at things that the average person doesn't look at. They look at things from an advisor's point of view. And I really like when you see across the table to what advisors are thinking and the professionals are thinking. A lot of the time, these are the things that we might want to be thinking about too. Give you an example. Longevity, something I see all the time with professional advisors, very worried about longevity. The popular press, fees, probably more than anything. NAPA-Net says this is written by Ted Godbout. A Cerulli study says 401k participants are, quote, clueless about decumulation. And if you don't know what decumulation is, that's when you've already accumulated your money and now you're starting to spend it. New research reveals that many 401k plan participants still do not know what to do with their proverbial pile of money at retirement and need guidance. Findings from the Cerulli Edge U.S. Retirement Edition, second quarter 2018 issue, shows that participants aren't always clear on what they should do with their 401k accounts once they exit the workforce, and suggest that advisors could play a larger role in supporting a sustainable drawdown strategy. Cerulli observes that since its inception, the 401k plan industry has devoted much of its energy to addressing the accumulation component of saving for retirement, but the industry is slowly turning its attention to decumulation. In recognition of this, the firm poses the following question to 401k plan participants age 45 and older. Quote, when you retire, what do you plan to do with your savings? The results show that participants are generally clueless as to what they will do with their accumulated savings, explains Cerulli's Jessica Scalafani. According to the report, 1/4 of the 401k participants over age 45 who were surveyed say they do not know what they'll do with their 401k savings when they retire, and another 1/4 plan to engage their financial advisor, which means you still got half left. Scalfani states that the latter data point can be read as a marginally more prepared version of I don't know, which in some suggests half of 401k plan participants have no idea what to do with the savings they have diligently set aside for retirement. She further notes that another 8.5% of respondents say they'll hire a financial advisor to help them. I don't want to get into the hiring a financial advisor thing today, but I do want to talk about this idea of what do you do? So most people are clueless about what to do. Obviously, the first thing you're thinking to yourself as you're listening to this is, well, what am I going to do? And there's a way not to think about this, I think. I think sometimes we can get so overwhelmed with all the different possibilities out there, with all the different things that we can do with our money, that it can be really frustrating. excuse me, I think it can be hugely frustrating because you feel like you have to know everything, or you feel like you have to hire a financial advisor to know everything. I'm going to give you the easy button on this because it can be a lot easier if you think about this differently. Don't try to learn it all. It's like when people say, hey, I'm trying to invest money and I don't know where to invest. My first piece of advice, don't try to understand every single investment out there. It takes a long time to do that. Instead, work backwards. Start with, what do I want to do? And then what hoops do I need to jump through and understand to do that? So if I want to retire at 55, I need to know that in 401ks, I can separate from service, leave the money outside an IRA in my 401k. Do not roll it over to an IRA. And I don't have any hoops. Pretty neat rule. I don't really care about that if I'm retiring at 65 because the rule is 59 and a half and older for IRAs to get your money out. But with separation from service, we can do it earlier from some of these other plans. So the first thing I do is I set my sights on my goal. And then I look at all the rules that apply to me. And guess what? Instead of then looking at all of this stuff, I only have to look at this little bit of stuff. And it makes it so much easier. And I'll tell you this too, it makes it a heck of a lot more fun because you're studying stuff that you're going to use. You're not just studying stuff so that you might use it later. It's all stuff you're going to use, and that makes it a much better plan. Hey, in just a second, we are going to turn our attention to the big idea. We're going to take these two headlines, one about 401ks and the other about golf. Joe, how are you going to do it? I'll have that in just a second. But first, let's talk about M1 Finance for a second, because if you're frustrated with your broker, and I know a lot of people are, guess what? M1 Finance is a great place to manage your retirement and other savings. If you're looking at other savings, set up an automatic investment into M1. There's no fee for trades, number one. Number two, you have the option of putting together your own pie, personalized, of investments where certain percentages go into different investments that you choose, or you can choose from their professionally arranged preset pies, or you can do a little of both. I like M1 Finance because of the flexibility. I've got a robo advisor option on one side. I've got do it myself on the other, and I don't have to juggle which one I'm going to do or move money from one account to another to do it. I can do anything I want inside the same account. And that's what's cool about M1 Finance. But use our link, SteckyBenjamins.com/M, the number one finance. And that tells them we sent you. And it's the way that you help yourself and help the show. If you're going to use M1 Finance and you like the show, please use our link. All right. That's M1 Finance. Let's talk about you with today's big idea. We started off talking about golf, right? And then the importance of a contingency plan. And then second, we talked about 401ks and 401k participants. And Ryan in our Facebook audience says paralysis by analysis. Yes, people paralyze themselves because they don't start from the end and then work backwards and only learn the stuff that you're going to use. Way more fun, much easier. Daryl says so many people don't even understand that there are different strategies to withdrawing funds in retirement. And that's scary when you don't even know what the options are, Daryl. And I completely agree with that. The industry, as this piece mentioned, is so focused on helping people learn how to save. We're not talking about how to get our money out, which is our big point today. The big idea is this, and this comes straight out of a book I reference, I think more than any other book, which is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. And if you haven't read it, it's a phenomenal read. I recommend picking it up. But the big idea is this, and this is one I saw people struggle with a lot when I was a financial planner. And that is when you pick up a stick, you don't just pick up the end where your hand is, you also pick up the other end of the stick. So if I get on a plane and I need my golf clubs when I get off the plane, I'm picking up everything that has to do with that entire trip, including the fact that the golf clubs might not make it and I need a contingency plan. When I put money into a 401k, I need to know how to take money out on the other end. There's two sides of the stick. Side I pick up and the side that comes with it. understand the entire stick. And I think you're going to do a much better job. And that is our big takeaway today. Jamie asks again, what was the name of the book? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Jamie. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys, that's going to do it. That's our big idea for today. You got to go pick up some sticks, don't you? Thanks for playing. Go stack some Benjamins. We'll see you next time back here at Money in the Morning.
Money in the Morning is created by Joe Saul-Sehy and is brought to our channels by our producer and engineer, Richie Rutter-Reese. Stacking Benjamins and Money in the Morning are for entertainment purposes. Before making moves, consult with your financial advisor. Looking for training sessions? Kathleen Sellemans has a great suite of Stacking Benjamins tools, so head on over to learn.stackingbenjamins.com. Hoping to chat with us on the web? Say hello to Shannon Cowan, our social media guru and community manager in our Facebook group. She can be found at stackingbenjamins.com/basement. From the basement, I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. See you tomorrow.
All right. And I am thinking in 15 minutes, we will go live with just a quick Q&A. Well, not quick. I mean, I'll hang out for an hour, but I think that I have a ton of books to give away, and we have to, I don't want to pack them. I don't want to take them with me. So if you're here in 15 minutes, I've got a whole shelf and you can barely see it back there, but I might have, I'm going to say 30 books that I want to send to people. So if you're around in 15 minutes and want to hang out with us a little bit, that would be fantastic. Hey, Michael, I wanted to get to your thing if you're still here. I totally agree. Most people have no idea. You know, you're at one employer and you've got horrible options. You go to a new employer, you can move it. You don't have to have all these separate things. I generally don't like doing that though, because if the new employer decides to change the options, then you have all your money hostage there. I kind of like having it in an IRA instead, so that if my 401k makes some changes, I can then, with my IRA, do something that rounds it out. So as an example, if somebody looks at my 401k, they might go, how come you don't have any international stuff in your 401k? Like, oh, because my international options suck. So I have an IRA that's just doing the international piece. So this part doesn't look diversified and this part doesn't look diversified. The whole thing does together. So I generally like the IRA because you can round out the thing. All right. I'm going to write a note to everybody in the Stacker newsletter that we're going to be getting together here in now in about 10 minutes.